Okay, we're going to do some asparagus. Asparagus is one of those vegetables that some people shy away from because they're afraid of it. The first thing I do is we're going to blanch our asparagus, and that's my favorite way to do it. You can always blanch it first and then grill it later. If you like, you can even bake it. But when you blanch it, it actually kind of hydrates the asparagus. At the same time, makes it a little bit more tender and keeps it from being stringy. When you're doing asparagus, I should actually do this. We're going to wash it off. But let's wash our hands first. Wash your hands off. We're going to wash that off. When you pick it out, you can take a look and see the size of this. It's probably about a little less than ½ inch thick. If you're going to go for if you like the real thick pieces of asparagus, then you're probably not going to want to blanch it. It's going to take too long to do that, and the method of heating won't quite get it where you need it to be. Little thinner pieces will cook much more quickly. So we're going to rinse this off, take the strings right off. I always like to make sure that my tops are in order. I think that the people at the supermarket think I'm kind of persnickety because I always make sure that they don't mess up my tops. That's the best part of the asparagus. We're going to just rinse this off a little water this time. I've mentioned before, it's always good to clean off your vegetables a little bit. You never know who's been handling them. Now the good news is this is going to go into some scalding hot water, so if there were any germs left, they're going to get cooked off. Asparagus is an alkaline, I believe, really good for your system. Helps balance out the acids. And again, I'm boiling that water so it gets nice and hot while we do the rest of this. This is going to be cooked in a two-step process. It's going to be cooked first with a little bit of lemon. A lot of people can cook with lemon alone. Actually, that's one way they cook. That's what they call ceviche, which is kind of a Latin sushi. I'm going to take these, and I like to give them just a touch of an angle cut. I want even lengths. I'll put them aside, just grab a few at a time. Kind of get them so the tops are lined up, and I get the bottoms where I like them. I like to cut just a little bit of an angle. Now you notice the color of these now is going to change a little bit once we put them in there. And once I boil the water and put the boiling water in the lemon is going to start to cook them. Now you see that skinny piece in there? Just be aware that when you cook it, that's going to get kind of soft and soggy. The reason my wife likes it this way is it tends to stay a little crunchier. We're going to do this with real simple seasonings. We've got olive oil. I like extra virgin. We've got lemon juice, a little bit of butter. This is a basic steak seasoning, and in a steak seasoning, you can certainly do it yourself. This has got a little bit of garlic, onion, granulated onion, black pepper, some salt, a little bit of I think sunflower oil and stuff, but that's just as good as if you made it yourself. This is Bill, and this is, again, onion powder. I like onion powder, not onion salt. I always have to say that because onion salt adds more salt, and I've got enough salt here. You don't want things too salty, but I like onion powder because it reminds me of the flavor of chicken. You can use a chicken base, but onion powder seems to work pretty well as well. So we got ourselves a nice little lemon here. I'm going to use this one. It feels a little more firm. I'm just going to cut this in half. We'll see how much juice we get out of it. And again, my technique is I squeeze it right into my hand, waiting for the seeds to come out, and I kind of drizzle it all over the whole thing. This lemon is going to help kind of poach it a little bit, just in lemon juice. The acid is going to start to break it down and tenderize the outside. I don't know for sure that's what the scientists would say, but I can tell you it seems to work for me. So again, I've never claimed to be a culinary chef to verify that, or a chemist, but all I can tell you is when I do this, people always say, gee, how'd you do that asparagus? It was so tasty and fresh tasting and crispy and yet flavorful and not too chewy. See, I'm getting that lemon juice all over. Again, all we're going to do is let that water boil behind me. Get enough juice on there. I like to have a lot of juice because we're going to rinse some of that juice off. So let's cut another lemon. Get some more juice on it. Let those sit there, and we kind of make sure they all get coated. And they're going to start cooking a little bit right now. You actually can kind of see how the outside is getting a little darker green from that citric acid. So we're just going to kind of let that sit there, okay? That's going to sit there for a little while. We let the water get really hot. I've taken the little boiler whistle off of here because I want it hotter than the whistle blows, okay? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I want it hotter than the whistle blows. It's going to blow out there a lot of steam when I know it's really up to a rolling boil. It'll be as hot as I need it to blanch this asparagus off. All right, if you were to listen closely, you can hear that water there really boiling, and watch, if I put this down, it would have been whistling a long time ago. So it's about 6:15. I think we started right around 6:05. So we're about 10 minutes into this. Let's turn our hot water off and hold it with a handle. You don't want to burn yourself. And we're going to pour this over top, just nice and easy, just enough to cover all the asparagus. This is going to bring the asparagus up to temperature. Again, boiling water is, I think, 220. So that's what we're cooking with. It's going to get way hot. And we're just going to let it sit in there. Okay, well, this has been sitting here for almost exactly, I said, well, 7:15, about 5 minutes, maybe a little less. A couple ways you can tell your asparagus is ready. One of the ways is just take it out and see how it feels. If it feels like it's getting a little tender, like starting to wilt a little bit, you can tell it's a little more loose like that. That's one way. The other thing is smell it. You can kind of smell that it's kind of cooking off a little bit there. So we're ready to take that out. Again, my wife likes it a little bit crispy. You can use it and put it on the grill after this. Since we're going to drain that over here, I'm going to make it secure by putting a towel on this side. I'll bring this over for a second carefully. You don't want to spill it. That water is still hot. It will burn you, so you want to avoid that. Carefully take it over. And we can hold this back like this and tilt it. You could use a colander if you like. I'm just not wanting to dirty more than one pan at a time if I can avoid it. And we get all that water out of there. Hold it back. Now you can tell that that asparagus is still hot. It's still steaming now. Nice and warm. Take a little bit more water out of it. Come on now. There we go. A little bit of water won't hurt anything. Actually going to add a little flavor to it, make like a sauce. One of the simplest sauces you can have is lemon juice, butter, and salt and pepper. And I'm going to start with some butter. I'm going to throw that right on top. Kind of mix that around. You can tell I keep my butter out. I let it get nice and soft just so when I want to do something with it, I don't have to worry about it not melting. You can do that. I leave it out all the time. It takes a long time for butter to get rancid, so heavily pasteurized anymore. So I'm just kind of doing that. As you can tell, that butter's going to melt off a little bit. My wife's not around, so I'm going to put some more butter on there. Because I like butter. You can do less or none if you don't want butter at all. It still tastes delicious. I'm going to put some olive oil on top. Just drizzle it across the top of there. Don't be afraid. A little more lemon juice. Squeeze it off. Squeeze it around. Some nice drips on there. And then I'm going to use my seasonings. Yeah, we'll just use this. Got my steak seasoning. Don't worry about that. My onion powder. And my dill. I love dill. So I'm not afraid to go a little crazy with it. Just like that. And I'm going to taste one because I always like to do that. This is so simple and delicious. It's just one of the best things you can ever do.